This episode originally aired on July 9th, 2021 on the Unethical Podcast Patreon. This was before they said they solved it with Gary Francis Post, so I didn't mention him in the theories. Sorry about that. Our client today is the always hilarious Tyler Forte.
I've been told that I look like the Donnie Darko version of Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm not even kidding.
The weak, sick Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Hello? Is there...
Hey, how's it going? Richard
good.
Stoodle here. Nice to meet you.
Cool. I was told that I could find Dick here. That's you, I'm assuming.
That is one of the three dicks. I got the shortest one.
Perfect. I figured from your stature, plus the beard probably compensates for it. But here's the thing. I need help. Okay. I've watched one true crime documentary and it's not enough experience for me. So I figured I'd outreach a bit.
Well, you came to the masters. You haven't spoken with the other two dicks, but I assure you their credentials are pristine.
I love it. You guys are going to love this case. Okay. So I got a guy here. He kills at random. There's no any pattern to it. If you're walking and he comes across, you might end up dead. Coolest part is 2 people have been attacked by him and lived. So we have some actual testimony, but they can't nail this guy down.
All right. You color me intrigued, my friend. Sounds exactly right up my alley.
Perfect. One more thing I can add in here too. He writes letters to the police. Okay. Like he constantly taunting them. It's happened in the 60s. It hasn't been solved. In his first letter to the police, he said he likes to kill because it's more fun than hunting wild game.
Oh my God.
Because people are more dangerous than wild game. It's literally a joy for him.
Humans are called the most dangerous game. So I understand what he's talking about.
Can you guys take this case?
Sure. Do you know which case it is? There's a bunch of guys that like to.
This guy has gained so much infamy, even in the film industry. I'm sure you've heard of him, the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, Zodiac. I've been researching this for weeks already, so I probably already have it solved. I'll just have to bring it back to my boys. We'll go over the case and we'll figure out exactly what it is.
Sounds good.
I don't know. Come back in 2 hours or so. We'll just.
All right. Sounds good. Well, here, just because I have so much faith in you guys, I'm going to put a deposit down on you guys solving this.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. You walk around with that much money, dude. That's awesome. We'll take.
I got to compensate,
What do you got there? About 3,000. Okay. Yeah. We'll take the $3,000 and that'll be that's a half up front.
That's fair. It's expensive, running this kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Well, thanks, man. We'll get that solved. Come back in a couple hours. Go have a coffee across the street. It'll be good.
All right. I'll be back.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
All right. Let's do this because it's going to be a longer one. Okay, guys?
There's a good dick joke there. Yeah.
So just before I start this is a very complicated case. This case can go down many rabbit holes. I know the research isn't complete. You can't get everything. For us to be complete, we'd have to spend 4 years getting a criminology degree and 10 more years studying the evidence. All right. We are the private dicks. We don't need that kind of shit. I'll give you as much as we need. Once we get through what I've put together, I'm sure we can figure this out. We solved Amelia Earhart, for God's sakes. We can figure this out with just the gist, right?
I'm here for it.
All right. Okay, so here's backstory if you're not familiar. You might remember this from the movie. We're doing Zodiac today, guys. Okay, so here's backstory if you're not familiar. On December 20th, 1968, 17-year-old David Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen were parked at a Faraday's station wagon in a gravel turnout on Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. So can we imagine what they were up to? Huh? Just in a gravel road by themselves?
They were taunting a serial killer who
Yeah.
they knew could not help himself.
Yeah.
They knew better.
And boy, were they right.
So a man approached their station wagon and the two teenagers must have noticed him. He may have coaxed them out of their car somehow. That's the theory about it, okay? As Faraday tried to get out of his vehicle, he was shot once in the head, and Jensen was shot 5 times in the back as she was running away from the vehicle. Both were killed instantly by the .22 caliber long rifle. So he wasn't fucking around, this guy. There was no sign of robbery or sexual abuse or anything like that. So that's the first murders.
22 caliber.
Yeah. Long rifle, like specific, very specific ammunition.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like a tiny gun when I think that.
22, you can make it. You can have a rifle, a 22 rifle for sure. Kill like rabbits and stuff, like little things.
Were these rabbit-sized teenagers?
Yeah, but someone in the back of the head with the 22 will still kill you.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Every time, or does it matter where it hits?
Well, this one here, the guy got shot in the head the first shot. So I'm guessing that was like a surprise one. And then the girl ran away and he shot her 5 times with the rifle. So in the back. So I don't know if it's going to kill you every time, but 5 shots, 1 in the head will get you for sure. And 5 in the back will get you.
And I know I've heard the velocity on 22s is lower, so such that like when you get shot with it, it just immediately starts spinning around inside of you.
Oh yeah. If it gets inside your head, yeah, it'll scramble your brain. That's what I heard too. It'll scramble your brains up.
Boy, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do we know, did she zigzag or did he just get 5 good shots? Like, what was the...
I'm going to tell you, she was a 16-year-old girl. She was probably just screaming and not zigzagging.
No, you always zigzag.
You always zigzag. Someone's shooting at you, you zigzag. What do you think? Fucking Game of Thrones all over again. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, get the
I'm
fuck
on the
out of
first
here.
I'm on the first episode.
Don't worry, they spoil it for you.
That was a good joke. I liked it. All right. Fast forward 6.5 months later to July 4th, 1969. Similar situation. Sorry, I think this is July 1st. No, July 4th. That's right. I keep forgetting I'm Canadian, but it's your holiday, not mine, that this happens on. Michael Maggio, who was 19 at the time, and Darlene Farron, who was 22, were parked in a secluded Blue Rock Springs park in Vallejo, California. They were parked in a weird spot again, all right, in Darlene's car. Vallejo and Benicia are like neighboring towns in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was like, why are these connected? But they're very close cities to each other. So, and as I didn't know that. I'm not American. I just had
that's funny. You know nothing of American geography, so in your mind, somehow they're like 3,000 miles apart.
Yeah, no, it's San Francisco Bay. It's not as big as I thought it was. I thought it was a Mississippi type thing where it crossed a bunch of states. No, I'm just kidding.
San Francisco Bay, on
Yeah.
the border of Kentucky.
I don't know why I laughed, but I don't understand why that's funny.
That's okay. Neither do we.
Yeah, I'm putting on a show.
Okay, so as the two sat there in the car, they were approached by a 5'10" or 11 man who pulled into the lot, got out of his car, and pulled out a flashlight.
Was that 5'10" or 11 men?
He was either 5'10" or 5'11".
Okay, all right.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It was one or the two. That's how I describe them.
All
So, and he pulled out a flashlight. So the couple, thinking this man was a police officer, got their identification out. The man fired shots from his 9mm semi-automatic pistol into the vehicle, wounding Michael, but unfortunately killing Darlene.
Yeah, first rule, don't trust cops. Don't trust cops.
Drive away. Rush. If you get pulled over by a cop, just drive.
If you get pulled over by 10 or 11 5-foot cops, oof, just kill yourself.
So as they were shot, the man walked away and he thought he'd killed them both, but he walked back to the vehicle when he heard Maggio scream out in pain. So if the guy would have just shut the fuck up, he would not have gotten shot 2 more times. The pair of them, they got shot 2 more times. He came back and put 2 more bullets. Even after the 2 bullets, he still survived, and he got to be interviewed by the police, and that's where we got the description of the guy being 5'10", and other little things, like he's just a generic white guy. They didn't really give too much description. It's not like you'd have to see the fucking photo. There's a photo. If you want to go look at it, go look at it. It's not a photo. Sorry. It's a police sketch. I said photo, but
And what do I Google? Generic white guy or?
You Google Zodiac sketch.
5 or 10 11-foot men.
All right. So about 45 minutes after the shooting, a man called the Vallejo Police Department claiming responsibility for the shooting. He also took credit for the shooting 7 months earlier in Benicia. The caller was a believable suspect because he knew the caliber of the guns, even though hadn't been released to the public. So they trusted the guy that called in saying he did it. Okay. Less than a month later, on July 31st, 3 local media outlets received letters from a self-proclaimed killer that contained details that only the killer would have known. Each letter also contained 1/3 of a cipher that the killer claimed, if solved, would reveal his true identity. This is kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
I know there's murders, but I mean, cool codes coming at you. If you're the editor of the Cincinnati Chronicle or all these fucking papers that got affected, that's a big news day. You're winning a Pulitzer. You know what I mean? You're happy.
And what year was this?
1969.
Oh, yeah. So murder was quite ubiquitous at that point in time. So I doubt that undertone really bothered them.
Oh, yeah. And but it was the summer of love, man. It was just before, or let me see. I think it was just around the same time Charlie Manson had his cult going on. It was all the same shit, same time, right? Scary. It was kind of a scary time, actually.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's wild. Like my favorite representations in movies of say like New York City are like in the 70s. And this applies to like the West Coast too, because just the murder rates were so high, but they still like try to like play off like the same vibe of today where they're like, oh, we live in this cool big city, it's awesome, best city in the world. But in reality, if they were there, people would just be getting stabbed right behind them.
Yeah, exactly. People think we live in a shitty time now. Try living just 50 years ago, in the 70s, like you said. It was way worse. Try living 100 years ago, even fucking worse than that.
Mm-hmm. Murders and cholera.
Yeah, exactly. And a different plague, for fuck's sakes. Each letter contained 1/3 of the cipher. I already said that. So he wanted the ciphers to be printed on the cover of all 3 newspapers, or he threatened to kill 12 people that weekend. It's a little scary. All 3 portions of the cipher were eventually published after failed attempts by the police to solve them. So the cops couldn't do it, and they just didn't want to see 12 people died, so they did publish them, which is fun. After publication, a couple from Salinas, California, Donald and Betty Hardin, they cracked the cipher within 20 hours of being printed in the papers. What? Yeah, they cracked the first cipher. Z-408 is the first one. That's what they call it now. Zodiac. Z-408. It's fucked up because the
resolution's so bad.
Are you gonna say it's fucked up because it looks like him?
Yeah, it's fucked up. It looks like I was gonna say it looks like a police sketch of you. Is that your police sketch?
Yeah. That was when I was rabbit hunting and these teenagers dove in front of my gun.
Yeah.
You felt bad for him because there was a 22 bullet swirling around inside of him, so you pumped him with 4 more.
It's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Also, just one quick note: how fucking bad at symmetry is this police sketch artist? Like, do you see?
Yeah, it's bad.
Sure. He just didn't.
He wanted to make one of his eyebrows look like he's like in thought.
Yeah, and then like a shitty Photoshop distortion just like lowered the glasses. Oh damn!
They were using pens and papers. My God, you're critical.
He wasn't a professional artist. He went to art school and ended up as a police sketch artist. Who the fuck do you think that they get, RJ?
You're right. They probably are just like Craig can draw.
Yeah. Do I have to do it again?
RJ, it was this or the Fourth Reich, all right? Give the guy a break.
He's a very talented artist then.
All right. I'm glad you brought the photo of him, or the police sketch of him. That's fine.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're glad you brought the Fourth Reich up.
Hey.
Every episode.
The Fourth Reich is always up when I'm talking. That was the weirdest dick joke I've ever made.
Yeah.
It's the Fourth Rick, my dick. All right. So after they cracked it, the note, the cipher started like this: I like killing people because it is so much fun. That's the first sentence of that. So the cipher also claimed he wouldn't tell the police who he was because it would just slow him down with his collection of slaves for the afterlife. So now it gets a little bit like scarier. This guy's starting to say that every murder he gets, it's one slave for him in the afterlife. I don't like it one bit. Wouldn't that be an interesting like afterlife though? Like, fuck, I should have murdered people.
I'm behind.
Imagine you get up there and you're just like, fuck, I knew I should have murdered people. And you have like Jim Jones up there running the show with all the fucking like...
yeah. It's literally in heaven. Meanwhile, I'm mowing my own heaven lawn. Just like, oh
God, I should have murdered more. Fuck. All you have is like a bunch of ants you destroyed as like a 10-year-old. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right. So he said that in the cipher when it was decoded by the high school teachers. I didn't mention that they were high school teachers. They decoded it, and he said the afterlife thing. Okay. So a few days after those first 3 letters and ciphers were sent to the media outlets, the killer sent another note to the Examiner. This letter began, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." And then blah, blah, grandiose bullshit. Who gives a fuck? But this is where we get the famous moniker from. He called himself the fucking Zodiac in a letter, which I fucking hate when serial killers name themselves. Do you guys know anything about serial killers?
I didn't know they had the option.
No, but the BTK kept signing his letters like that, and he named himself Bind, Torture, Kill. He's a fucking dork. I hate Dennis Rader.
I don't know if a serial killer signed their name to me and I was like a newspaper editor, I would purposely fuck it up just to piss them off.
Yeah, unless like that's a thing you can do. That's the danger of media, though. You're gonna go make them actually go kill someone else. You gotta fucking watch out. He's gonna go kill. This is real people. This isn't like a video game. He's gonna go out and shoot someone in the head because you did that.
Uh-oh.
You're okay with that. You're okay with that. No, gets just whatever. I'm in South America. People get shot all the time.
Oh fuck.
But what I do want to say is fuck you, Dennis Rader. Your poetry sucks. Okay. he fucking, and his daughter sucks too. My dad was such a nice dad. Did you ever see? You don't know much about serial killing and stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm aware of who he is, but
yeah,
damn, I didn't know that
his daughter. His daughter came on, did I think it was a People magazine interview a couple of years ago now, and she was like, "Oh, he was always normal to me. It was shocking, and I don't approve of what he did, but he was still my dad." Like, wow. Exploiting your dad's like fucking murders so you can get on People magazine or whatever. Go fuck yourself. You know, I would be hiding.
Yeah, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, I'd be hiding in a bush. I'd be out of town.
Right?
Like,
be so embarrassed.
Yeah, my name would be changed instantly. Be done. No more Strudel. The fucking toaster strudel killer fucking destroys half of Ontario. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not a Strudel anymore.
Yeah, that's so bad. Where do I know that name?
Yeah.
At the bank, and they're like, "It's right. All 20, sir."
Yeah. So, 2 months after the shootings of Farron and Maggio, Brian Hartnell, a 20-year-old, and Cecilia Shepard, a 22-year-old, were sitting on a blanket at Lake Berryessa, located in Napa County. Where they were sitting, they were approached by a man. He was at least 6 feet tall, and he was wearing a homemade dark hood, and he was wielding a gun. All right. The man told the couple he was a prison escapee from Colorado, and he needed their money and car so he could flee to Mexico. Hartnell offered up his cash and keys, but the hooded man didn't take them. Instead, he tied them up and stabbed them repeatedly before walking away.
Wow.
Leaving a military-style boot print, police later found. The depressions from the size 10.5 boot print also indicated that the suspect was nearly 210 pounds. So you notice there's discrepancies in the guy's size now, which I'm trying to like, I don't know if you guys are catching that.
Yeah, first he's 10 5-feet guys, then he's one dude 6 feet.
I'm a little confused on one piece.
Sure.
Do they take multiple weighted people and have them walk on the same ground to see how deep it goes? Because how the hell do you figure out that exactly 210 pounds is what goes down? Like,
but as he was walking away, he accidentally stepped on a scale that was underneath the ground. It was broken, so it stuck there.
Ground truth data.
No, they probably definitely what you just said is probably exactly what they did. They probably found the boots, put different amounts of pressure inside of the boot, representing the amount of pounds that would have been walking in it. Cops forensics are crazy. The shit they'll do is nuts. And I know it's 1969, but this is all they had.
But now I want to know, was like the ground wet? And when they tested it, was the ground wet? Because now there's discrepancies in like the amount it's going to go down. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just some dude named Marv who like spit sunflower seeds on the crime scene and was like, yeah, it's about 210. Just stuck a finger in and I know, because it came up to here.
So the man in this one, Hartnell, he survived. Shepard unfortunately died. And an hour after this, just like the last shooting, a man called officials and claimed responsibility for the slaying. So the killer also left a note on the car door. It had a crosshair symbol underneath was the dates of the first two shootings, and was also the days, like that day's date and time, September 27th, 1969, 6:30, with the words "by knife" underneath. So the crosshair symbol on the car was also the killer's homemade hood. So the guy had it sewn into his fucking hood too. Some people call this a Celtic cross, which it is, but I like to call it a crosshair because I find it more apropos.
Yeah, it looks like a white supremacist symbol. At least it did in the movie.
Yeah, a cross like that.
Cross, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure. It for sure looks like white supremacy, and it's 1969. Probably was a white supremacy thing. Like there probably was some sort of something in there, but who knows? Really, because we'll find out. We'll tell you at the end of this.
we know.
The symbol would become iconic in his calling card for years to come. So he would start calling himself Zodiac and putting that beside his name. The symbol was in his letters, though. It was in the letters before this, so people did see them in the paper. Now, there's only one more murder that's definitively linked to the Zodiac, and it was the killing of cab driver Paul Stein 2 weeks later in San Francisco. Now, he was just sitting in his cab, and a man said to be about 5'9" or 5'10" walked up behind him and shot him in the back of the head with a 9mm pistol. Finally, back to a weapon he's used before. So he's been jumping around weapons, which is rare for a serial killer. Usually they typically stick to what they know. It becomes more and more of a ritual. So he went from a 22 long rifle to a 9mm to a knife, back to a 9mm. So he's all over the place with his murders. There were witnesses to this shooting. It was 10 o'clock at night on a city street. 3 different people saw him. They said the man calmly wiped down the cab before he walked away. The killer took Stein's wallet, and it is later revealed that he took a piece of Stein's shirt as he fled. So he ripped off a chunk of this guy's shirt.
On purpose?
On purpose, yes. He was described as a stocky white man in his mid to late 20s, with reddish brown hair, crew cut, and heavy framed glasses. So kind of that picture that you have behind you, I think that's that one, that description. All right. Police officers that were en route to the crime scene had been mistakenly told the suspect was black, which, yeah, I'm sure it was a mistake. They just assumed it was a fucking black guy. Yeah. And they later found out the description of the man was white and noted they did see someone who fit that description walking away from the crime scene. But since he was white, they didn't question him. So racial discrimination fucked over this one, right? That murder right there. They could have had him. They drove right past him.
Even after the fact, they were like, oh, that's just a light-skinned black guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He seemed white.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 days after Stein's death, the Chronicle received another letter from the killer calling himself Zodiac, taking claim for the murder. The letter ended up being the big one because the letter contained threats that the next victim would be kids getting off of a school bus. The letter also contained the bloody piece of Stein's shirt. And this is when the story became international news and the Zodiac became a household name.
Just now?
Just now. Before that, it was local news, but it wasn't hitting the national and international scope. So these are the 5 and 2 injuries that have been definitively attributed to the Zodiac. Okay. He had a hiatus sending letters to the media and authorities during 1970 to 1973. Early 1974 is the last known letter from the Zodiac. And in this letter, he had claimed to have killed 37 people. So since the Zodiac claimed to have so many kills in his letters, investigators have tried to attribute other murders to him with little proof. It's just all circumstantial evidence. There's no real heavy proof that it goes along with it. So there's a bunch of them, but there's only 2 that, in my opinion, have any type of steam to them. Okay. And I'll tell you them. So the first one's Ray Davis. The 27-year-old was murdered on April 10th, 1962 in his cab. He was shot twice by an all familiar 22 caliber long rifle, once in the back and the second in the head. Davis wasn't robbed, and he was killed in a low crime area. What they meant by low crime area was the rich neighborhood. No motive was ever established to that one. What makes this interesting to me is that even though it was in 1962, so that was 7 something years before the first confirmed Zodiac killing, but the killer called the police in advance of the shooting. He said he's going to do something awful tonight. So, and then this would make Davis be the first killed by the Zodiac, if true as well. So what did he say? Sorry, the killer claimed he was going to be committing a baffling crime. That's what he said. And after he was killed, the police received another call from the killer, this time threatening to kill a random bus driver. So he said, I killed the cab driver, now I'm going to kill a bunch of bus drivers. So servicemen from nearby Camp Pendleton were used to help guard bus stops around the city after that. No one got killed. No bus driver got killed. And it kind of just faded away into the end.
God, how stressful that must have been. Like, imagine being a bus driver in the 60s to begin with.
Oh, for sure.
And then, and then dealing with that. Like, you have so much on your plate. You have to make sure black people stay in the back.
Yeah. So I find when I read that one, I was like, that's pretty similar. I'm going to add it to the list, I think. But without any DNA or physical evidence, he's just in the potential victim, really.
Right.
I don't know. There's another possible victim to the Zodiac. On October 30th, 1966, Sherry Jo Bates was killed in an alley on the campus of River City College in Riverside, California. So the 18-year-old was beaten and stabbed multiple times with a short-bladed knife. Her throat was also cut. There was no evidence of robbery or sexual assault in this one either, and there was no witnesses. So they say she was studying in the library when the police believe her car was sabotaged into not working by her eventual killer. So he took a spark plug out or some shit like that. And then at the scene, they found a man's Timex watch along with military heel style boot print indicating a shoe size of 8 to 10. The origin of the watch was eventually traced to a military post. The shoes could have been sold at the nearby March Air Force Base. About a month later, in November of that same year, a letter was sent to the Riverside Police Department and the Riverside Press Enterprise newspaper confessing to the murder. So it's just the detail. It sounds similar in the way that he called. He sent letters, you know what I mean? It's what I have here. And again, it had details of the murder that had never been revealed by the police. So the letter also said a bunch of shit that probably shouldn't have known unless you were the killer. They also found a morbid poem written on one of the desks of the Riverside Library. Police attributed this poem to the Zodiac, just by the way it was written. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's fucking stupid. Serial killers writing poetry after they murder are dumb. I'm over it. The only reason this isn't definitively a Zodiac because they had another suspect in the case, but charges were never laid. So they probably know who did this one, but they just couldn't prove it. But it does look similar. So in 1970, the Zodiac took credit for this murder in one of his 20-ish letters to the press. But who knows? This guy just clearly wanted to be famous. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. And there were so many letters that were sent that weren't the Zodiac too that they know of. Like the 20 they confirmed are Zodiac. They could just potentially not even be all Zodiac anyway. Just so similar, right? So all in all, the Zodiac claims he had 27 or 37 victims. Actually, when he wrote that last letter, he wrote Zodiac 37 SFPD 0. So that's kind of fun. He was like making it a game. You know, when are you going to kill someone? You ever going to catch up, cops? Pussies. And if they really knew the real number, it would probably be way higher than Zodiac. Killed one black man, Probably daring him to kill white people. All in all, the Zodiac sent 4 ciphers to the media and police. Until recently, only one had been solved. That one's called Z408 because it had 408 characters in it. The teacher couple had found a crib in the cipher early on. A crib is a familiar set of symbols that match, so you can take guesses at it because it happens more than once. They found the word kill and just knocked it off from there. So interesting way to solve that, right?
Yeah.
The cipher named Z340 was the next one sent. This one was solved, but it was a bit tougher to crack. Z408 took 20 hours to solve, and it was done by a teacher couple. Z340 took 51 years to solve. And this was solved by a bunch of internet sleuths from around the world, like places like Australia, United States, Canada. So they just solved that in 2020. That's kind of fun. This letter...
Yeah.
In this letter, the Zodiac basically was taunting the police saying, I bet you're having fun trying to catch me. It wasn't me calling the TV show, and I'm not scared to die because I have lots of slaves now, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, just him saying he gathered more slaves and not actually saying his name, because that's what they thought this whole thing was going to come out to, right, is who he was. But for a guy who stumped the world for 51 years with his ciphers, he couldn't have been that smart because the whole cipher is riddled with grammar and spelling mistakes. Paradise is spelt with an S, you fucking mook.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely easier to keep a cipher hidden when you fuck up the spelling of all the words in it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why they say they had such a hard time, is because they couldn't figure out that the spelling was all fucked. But once they figured that out, and this one here was solved on an angle, which the first one was they just followed the letters like this. This here, it was the letters were done on diagonally. So it took them fucking a long time. The internet, the FBI and the CIA both agree that it has been solved, but it wasn't by them. So that's kind of fun how they just had some guys on the internet. There's 2 more ciphers that were sent to police, Z13 and Z32. Sorry, Z13 and Z32, if you guys didn't understand what I just said there.
Thank you for clarifying.
These ones are... You're welcome.
I've seen Shaun of the Dead, motherfucker.
These 2 are harder to solve just because how few characters there were on these ciphers. Without a reference, you can make up so many different combinations of sentences, right? So Z13 cipher might be the most important because it starts with "my name is," and then 13 characters. Many people think this wouldn't reveal his name anyway, because in previous ciphers, he literally told them he wouldn't tell them his name. With only 13 characters to work with, many names could be attributed to them. The one name I saw come up on the net was Alfred E. Neuman, like the fucking Mad Magazine guy, which I think is right. I think they're just fuck with the guy. I think Alfred E. Neuman is what the solved, but you can't prove it without having some sort of this decoder because of so few letters. So I think he's fuck with the cops and said his name's Alfred E. Neuman. I love it. So Z32 is the last one. It's known as the map code because there was a map included with the code. Weird. It says you could use the code to find out where a bomb is set. No one ever solved it, and there wasn't a bombing, so more fuckery from our buddy the Zodiac. It's complicated, this cipher. I don't even want to get into it. There's like, anyways, it says Mag North will get you, start you, and it has like a picture of a map of a area in California. I don't know. There was never any explosion, so no one gives a shit, really. It would be cool to solve, but I mean, it's got 32 characters. It's probably never going to be solved.
Wait, which one wasn't solved? Did you say Z32?
Because he's just going to solve it right now.
Yeah. You're the first person to actually take a hard look at this, so I think you can do it. I got you. It's Z32 was never solved. Neither was Z13 officially, but I do think it's Alfred E. Neuman, which is awesome. Now, I do have 9 theories on this one today, boys.
Holy fuck.
Can you start with the Amelia Earhart one?
There's none for Amelia Earhart. If there's an Amelia Earhart one, it's surprising to me.
Okay.
I got one.
I'm sure you'll whip something together at the end there, RJ. Okay, so a couple of theories don't really name people, but it does name a couple things, which, okay, so theory 1. The Zodiac was multiple people. Now, I do like this theory for a number of reasons. It makes you hard to catch if they think you're one person, but you're actually 2. So they think there was a guy actually going out and murdering and a guy actually writing the letters and they were working in conjunction with each other. Because writing that letter on the door and all that stuff is a hard proposition to do with one person and get away without anyone ever getting around there. So they think there's two people. That's one of the theories. There's more than one person.
That's extremely plausible, but I wouldn't have assumed that they would know each other. I was thinking it was just like, one person catches wind of somebody doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. We'll get there. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, is that a different theory?
Yeah.
You're cheating. You're cheating.
You'll see why though. You'll see why.
Okay. All right.
You'll see why. They say theory number 2. So that's just theory number 1. It's not even really a theory. It's just something I want to point out. How's that? It's a fucking clue. Okay. Zodiac was someone in the military, is number 2, or someone in the police force, or even someone with some governmental connections. Now, cryptology and army boots, knowledge of guns and how to mess with enemies psychologically, the ease of killing someone, no problem. As soon as the servicemen were used to survey the bus stops, the drivers weren't killed. So the military were there already. The watch that was left at that scene, it was supposed to have gotten overseas. It was like a watch that was made overseas. So they think that's where it was gotten on some sort of tour. And some of the Zodiac's actions indicated that he actually might have had knowledge of police procedures. So here's something. Here's a weird one. The way the blood pooled on the piece of Stein's shirt has some indications that the piece of shirt must have been ripped off after Stein had bled out for a while. So only the police would have had access to the shirt between the time Stein was shot and the blood pooled, meaning a police officer must be fucking with people. Like a police officer must be involved. He must have grabbed it after, just because the amount of blood that was on it. Doesn't make sense. And it would have had to pool up. Okay, maybe he wiped it in it. I don't know. Maybe he just liked the blood and wanted a little bit for himself. Creepy fucking serial killer. I don't know. But that's a theory that's going around. Also, another reason he wasn't caught was because of a government cover-up. That's why some high school teachers / internet sleuths figured out ciphers instead of the FBI and CIA. That's what people are saying. Whatever, maybe. That doesn't mean they have governmental connections. Just mean people are dumb everywhere.
Mm-hmm. People are dumb everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just people are not as smart as they think they are.
Not here though.
Here's a fun one. Here's my first. I'll call this my first real theory. So, the Zodiac is Ted Cruz.
I'm on board with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Ted Cruz is smart enough to know how to read enough to spell things bad.
Yeah. I don't think he spells.
I firmly believe that man might be illiterate.
Now, this was all sparked by a tweet in 2013 by @TakeItDD saying, hashtag CPAG alert, Ted Cruz is speaking. His speech is entitled, "This is the Zodiac speaking." So that's just a hilarious tweet. It turned into a meme right quickly, which I find fun. So after Ted heard about this on Halloween 2018, I guess Ted must have thought this would be funny because he posted a Zodiac-like cipher on his Twitter account, captioning it with Halloween. So everyone was like, "You are the fucking Zodiac, you psychopath." According to his publicist, he was just trying to be funny because he has no fucking funny in him at all. He's just trying to be more likable.
Fucking good one, Ted. That was hilarious.
Yeah. that man is so tone deaf when it comes to charm. Like he and this is not to get into politics or anything, but I know like at one point when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez like said some shit on Twitter, and I don't even know what the context of what she was saying was, but Ted Cruz was like, "You go, girl," and yeah, she turned around and she's like, "Fuck you! You supported a siege on the Capitol that almost murdered me." Like he's just such an idiot. He doesn't like. He's one of those rich guys who like is so far removed from actual humanity as a politician that he forgets that people actually have opinions outside of what Lamborghini do we buy this year?
Right. And how many afterlife slaves do I need?
Yeah.
Like, exactly. Life is about more, Ted.
Yeah, he's so tone deaf in the general sense of it that he thinks maybe he's just so not charismatic at all. Like what's the other word for charismatic? What's the opposite? Like what's the opposite of
it's Ted Cruz. That's the word.
Yeah, exactly. He's so Ted Cruz that he thinks that if he's associated with a serial killer, he'll be less Ted Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, I'm gonna be the Zodiac. Everyone's gonna like me more. And it was like, the Zodiac killed a bunch of people on the street, you psycho.
Yeah.
But cool. So too bad Ted Cruz was born in 1970, though.
You didn't need to add the 1970 part.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, too bad Ted Cruz was born. I agree. But maybe he was a diapered baby doing this. That would be fun. That would be the best one of all. He's just a diapered up little.
Oh yeah, and he still just has his like 47-year-old face as like a 9-month-old.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's just a fun one. Here's another fun one for the serial killer people out there.
It's just another fun one for our serial killer listeners.
Oh, one more time. I'm going to describe a bloody death of a child. You're welcome.
Ted, if you're listening, stay tuned.
Yeah. The Zodiac Killer is Bruce Davis, who is one of Manson's disciples. He was known to be in the San Francisco area in the late 1960s, but Bruce Davis was already in jail for his Manson craziness in 1970, and his letters continued till 1974. I only wanted to bring it up because there's a nice chunk of people on Reddit who think this is true. It's not. He was investigated though back then, which I found interesting, but he was definitely much debunked then.
You can't believe everything you read on Reddit. I mean, people on Reddit think that I'm gay. They tell me as much in the comments. So
yeah, well, not just Reddit. I'm just kidding. I don't think you're gay. I know you're straight as a fucking arrow, buddy.
Don't keep me in a box.
You're curved like a horseshoe. All right.
All right. I'll take horseshoe.
All right. So the next theory, which we're starting to get into the more serious ones, the Zodiac is Ted Kaczynski. I don't know if you guys ever heard this one, but Ted Kaczynski is the Unabomber, and he was in San Francisco Bay during this time. During his Unabomber years, just like the Zodiac, he would communicate with the police and media and use ciphers to communicate with them as well. The Zodiac used to threaten bombs in many of his letters, but never went through with it that I know of, but Kaczynski did. So I don't think this is true, but it's a fun one to think of. It's an interesting similarity.
Were those even in the same time frame though?
Yes. Well, Kaczynski, when he was doing the Unabomber stuff, he was older. He wasn't, he was a young man in San Francisco at the time. So maybe he was just doing his shooting. I don't think so though. Ted Kaczynski was more of he considered himself a like political activist. You know what I mean? He considered himself doing, like, he wasn't just random willy-nilly killing people in the fucking streets because he didn't like their making out in their truck.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of that dude's opinions rock. But then he also killed dogs. So
he predicted what's happening now. Really, his manifesto is like scary as fuck because it's so scary and accurate. Like there's accuracies to it. Maybe I should say that. I don't know. I don't even know if Kaczynski's still alive. I should have looked into him more.
I think he is. Hey, Chad, are you still alive? Yeah, he's good.
Hey.
Yeah,
he's good. Yeah. All right. So here's the last four that are real here. The Zodiac, this is number 4, theory 4. The Zodiac is Earl Van Best Jr. So Earl Van Best Jr. is the subject of FX's The Most Dangerous Animal of All. His biological son, Gary Stewart, worked with experts to compile evidence against his bio dad. All right. Van Best was 27 when he met Stewart's mother at the age of 14. They married and had Stewart just before Van Best was arrested and jailed for a number of charges, including pedophilia.
He's on that Don Lewis trip.
That's right. What's with the people getting married when they're 15 back in the fucking day? That's weird. Imagine being married when you're 15. You're like, do you want to trade magic cards and then come?
Fucking imagine being married when you're 15 to a 49-year-old man. That's what it seems like a lot of it was.
So bad.
Marrying your dad's friend.
Yeah. Ugh. So I'm just thinking about my dad's friend and how if I had to marry him, Jesus, when I was 15.
You have to suck his dick or you'll be grounded.
Oh, God. You just brought back some memories. Anyways. So Stewart claims his bio dad looked a lot like the police sketch, was interested in cryptology, and lived nearby to Paul Stein. That was the guy in the cab that got shot. So the most damning evidence is that the Van Best handwriting apparently matches the letters sent to police and newspapers. The writing was compared to the writing on the marriage certificate. So they took his marriage certificate to his mom, went and compared it to the letters that were given to the police and the media, and there's a match.
Yeah, boo, boo.
Yeah, you talked about how that's not real science, and I'm going to tell you why I believe that's kind of shitty science. And FX put up like a good long series into this. Like they put a whole or a lot of hours, into this case, saying that his dad was it. But many people are challenging this handwriting thing on the marriage certificate because it wouldn't have been filled out by his father. It would have been filled out by the priest.
So the priest did it.
Yeah.
And the priest would know about the slaves in the afterlife. It all fucking makes sense.
Yeah.
This random priest in the fucking San Francisco area is just getting arrested.
And now FX is trying to cover it up. That's crazy.
Yeah, all that forensic shit is just stuff that police pull out of their assholes to put poor people in jail. So it's stupid. That's not a real thing.
So they did a whole thing on it. This guy still swears up and down by his claims that the handwriting is his father's and it matches, and he looks like the sketch. So it must be my dad because he was a pedophile. I get it, dude. You had a shitty parent. Doesn't mean they're the Zodiac. That's, like maybe. I doubt it though. There's not really that much evidence. Just the handwriting.
Imagine having such deep-seated father issues that in order to get attention from him, you have to accuse him of being a super famous serial killer.
I don't know. I actually agree with this theory only because I'm not joking either. In one of the ciphers, it actually spells out EV Best Jr., which is honestly too much of a fucking coincidence when it comes to ciphers. If you're putting in messages,
you're right. That's part of the scrambled up part of 408 that they don't really know what's there. So there's also a bunch of other gibberish on there that doesn't really match up. So yes, it could be EV Best. It could EV Best. Sure, maybe. But I mean, what's all the other letters? There's way more letters that are unscrambled at the bottom. So you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah, sure, maybe it could be, but I mean, it could be a coincidence too. Best is not a hard word to.
Does it spell out the word junior? Because that would be pretty crazy.
Well, it actually spells out RJ.
Does it?
Yeah.
RJ. Uh-oh. RJ.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
I gotta go, guys.
Off to South America to meet up with Rick. Which turns out we're not private dicks. We're just fucking serial killers. All of us. Okay, so that's that theory, whatever. There's more to it, but I mean, watch the FX series. There's a lot. I could go into it for a fucking day. There's so much to this already. So the most famous one is the next one. It's number 5. The Zodiac is Arthur Lee Allen. Arthur Lee Allen is the most famous of the Zodiac suspects. I just said that. Allen was a convicted child molester from Vallejo, the site of the second shooting attributed to the Zodiac in 1969. He was questioned 2 times throughout the investigation of the Zodiac, actually. During those interviews, he claimed he wanted to kill people. And I believe this is the guy they have in the movie.
Yeah.
I think this is the guy they interviewed in the movie a couple times. He also wore a Zodiac brand watch. And his friend said before the Zodiac killings even began, he was already referring to himself as the Zodiac. He also owned the same caliber guns. At Lake Berryessa, Allen claimed to the police he was scuba diving on that very lake that same day. He's also to have driven home with a bloody knife in his car. That's what he told them. I had a bloody knife in my car. I don't know. What do you want from me? In 1991, Mike Maggio, the survivor from the second shooting, after seeing a photo lineup put together by the VPD, claims that Allen was the one that shot he and his friend that fateful night. When asked why he didn't say anything earlier, Maggio claimed he was never shown pictures of Allen in the entire 20 years that he had been injured from this. He claims he was only asked if he recognized certain names by the police. So he was never shown any actual physical pictures, just like, do you know this guy? What about that guy? And so they never really got anything.
Yeah.
Now there's plenty of compelling evidence here that Allen's the killer. but his DNA didn't match the retest done from the DNA evidence on the envelope.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that. When the fuck did they do the DNA? I don't trust 20-year-old DNA testing, especially when the DNA is how old?
Fucking 40 years old, basically.
I don't believe that
45
shit.
years old.
No, I mean not to jump the gun on what we think.
Well, you don't believe science?
I don't. I judge a lot of science very critically. How about that?
Sure, DNA science is like pretty fucking open and shut though. Like it's not like it's.
I don't know, man. I did that banana shit in high school. It didn't mean anything to me, so therefore it's not a thing.
Okay. This also lends credence to the theory there's two killers. One was making the letters, licking the envelopes. The other one's actually going out and stabbing them. That's all I'm saying. It adds to that. Who was Alan's accomplice? No one really knows. He died in 1992, so no more questioning that fucker. Also, another thing about him, he didn't match any of the description of the witnesses. He did not have the thick glasses or the shaggy hair or whatever, and the stocky build. He wasn't 6 feet tall. He wasn't 5'10". He also wasn't 5'8" or 5'9", which is funny because that's all the.
Yeah, but historically, eyewitness shit is some of the most inconsistent stuff too.
For sure, eyewitnesses, you can fuck with your memory so easily. It's not that hard. You get me. All of us will retell this story tomorrow.
Yeah, who are these cops that were asking them for starters? You know what I mean? Like.
No, for sure. And it's fucking 60 years old. There's a whole website like zodiackiller.com dedicated to it, has all the evidence on it. It's actually nuts. You could spend days on there. But I mean, it's all old police reports. These cops they would write whatever the fuck they want. Like, anyway, so next. The Zodiac is Lewis Myers, is number 6 here. So Randy Kenny claims his friend Louis Myers admitted to being the Zodiac in 2001 when he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. Who's Randy Kenny, you ask? I don't fucking know, just some guy, which I find hilarious. My brother's sister's cousin once told me about my aunt's uncle who was living in the... Anyways, it seems a lot of telephone for this one, but there's some oomph to it. So he claims the motivation for Myers to kill couples was that he had suffered from a breakup. Now, Myers was young. He was, when the first murder would have happened, he would have been about 14 years, or I think 16 years old, sorry. And he went to high school with the two young 17 and 16-year-old people, with two of the victims. So he went to high school with them. And he also worked as a busboy at the same restaurant as the lady who died in the second shooting. I forgot to write her name. I kept meaning to write there. But yeah, so he also worked with her. Okay. He worked at a military surplus store also on the weekends. So this gave him access to military boots that were believed to be worn by the Zodiac. He didn't know the cab driver Stein, but Kenny claims his friend killed the cab driver because it was a robbery for drugs. That's what he told him on his deathbed. He was deployed in Germany for 2 years between 1971, 2 years and a bit, in 1971 to 1973. Those 2 years were the same few years that communications between the Zodiac and the police had been cut off. Louis' description doesn't match that of the victims. So when he was telling them about it, like, oh, they were wearing this clothes and they actually weren't, or whatever, he was saying a lot of stuff like that, and it wouldn't match up the super finite details, but the mind changes things. So I just find this one interesting because he was gone away. And when he came back in 1974, after being let's pretend he was deployed during that quiet period, he said he had 37 kills, which makes it more likely that he went over there and killed a bunch of fucking people in Vietnam or whatever, because that would have been Nam times, right? And then he could add to his numbers. It has a little bit of credence, but I mean, I don't know, some guy on his deathbed saying he's the Zodiac doesn't really hold too much water with me. It's just a way to, like, I don't know. What's the point of that? What are you doing? What are you accomplishing? You don't really, what do you think of that? Getsy, I could see you. I've got one more theory after this, buddy, and then you can give me all your fucking crazy theories.
No, I'm still trying to solve this map cipher.
Okay, good for you. Good luck. So the last one, which this is the one I believe, this is why I put it last. The Zodiac Killer is a myth. Not real. Not a thing. There was no Zodiac at all. It was all hyped by the media. There were a bunch of murders, yeah, but all of them being connected, not true. All right. They don't seem likely to be connected without the letters to the police. All right. These murders were all considered to have happened at lovers' lanes, but that isn't necessarily the case. Vallejo was a hotbed for drugs during this period, meth to be exact. So 30 years after the first two shootings, a retired VPD detective, John Lynch, told the media that the first two shootings were because Faraday found out about a drug deal and wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. And his girlfriend was probably just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, the survivor of the second attributed shooting, Majo, was wearing 3 sweaters and 3 pairs of pants that night. Okay. It was the 4th of July. Was it to be different outfits so you could rob somewhere, take a layer off, and the police wouldn't be able to find you? Was this a drug deal gone wrong? It was the 4th of July. People would have been out and about, leaving their house. It would have been a perfect day to go rob some people for money. All right. These possibilities were discounted, however, because Majo and Faraday didn't have a criminal record. A serial killer can be alibi this way, right? So if you put a serial killer, you think it's a serial killer, then you go, well, it must be the serial killer, and these nice kids with no records didn't do anything, right? Now, the stabbing incident with the guy in the hood could have just been a copycat. By this time, the symbol was synonymous with the Zodiac, had already been in the paper for months. All right. So long story short, if it hadn't been for the letter stating this is the Zodiac, then these cases probably wouldn't be connected at all. There's so many discrepancies here. All right. The letters the Zodiac left, the eyewitness accounts said that he sped off and squealed his tires when he left. The Zodiac in his letter said, I drove off calmly from the scene and nobody even questioned that I was there. Right. The Zodiac said some lady was wearing a dress when she was wearing a fucking pant dress thing. It was a clearly obvious not dress that she was wearing, but he's saying all the clothes and stuff that he's saying in the letters. Yes, while he's getting like weapons correct, he is getting other details that you figure he would be getting correct wrong, right? So they're just highlighting the things he's getting right, not the things that he's getting wrong in the media, plus adding to the fuel to the fire with the Zodiac. It's just asking for it. So the problem with this theory is that the letters and the ciphers are pretty fucking, like, they do have a lot of detail, right? They have some stuff that's pretty crazy. So that could be attributed to somebody who had a police scanner at the time. Okay. And you could just hear someone from a half mile away, like half an hour after a murder happens. It's not in the media yet, but if you get a radio scanner and you like, I just killed someone, and then it's the kids or something, and then it snowballs. Yeah. I don't think with the details, like the cops would have said them over the radio. Like, I don't think it's real. I think we all hyped it up as humans, and it was just a bunch of different killers that got away because we wanted it to be a serial killer. We wanted to be scared. And we might end up finding for sure eventually. I doubt it, but they are doing a bunch of familial DNA on all the DNA from the envelopes right now. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with familial DNA, but that's how they caught the
Golden State Killer.
Golden State guy. Yeah. So they got him just actually taking DNA from the registry, matching like all the 23andMe, all those ones you send in your DNA. They got a warrant for that, and they took they found family members, and they figured out like, who could it be from your family? Who's the creepy uncle? And then they fucking caught the guy.
That makes sense. Yeah, have you heard about the Amazon thing they're doing too, where they're all going to be basically forcing to like broadcasting Wi-Fi so that they can all better connect with each other, so as to better surveil everything.
Yeah, no.
It's
terrifying.
Well, no, I mean, it's just along the same lines of the DNA thing. So I'm just saying, like, the era of the serial killer is over, dude.
I think if we're going to talk about that, I can definitely get into that. I think that it's pretty dead too.
Yeah.
I think that's why mass shootings have gone up. It's like,
yeah, dude, burn bright and fast.
It's the only thing you can do now. You get caught too quickly, right? If you're a psycho.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it didn't happen. I think the Zodiac was 3 different people. We'll never know because the cops blundered it so much, thinking it was one guy, just by all the height differences and all the. No, it doesn't sound real. The change of weapons, that kind of stuff is not indicative of a normal serial killer. That's very unique to the Zodiac. And sure, some killers are unique, but I mean, there's all sorts of regular indicators. Like,
I like that one. Yeah,
that's good.
I do. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. David Fincher, actually, I one of the articles I'll post in the thing is David Fincher, because he made the movie Zodiac, right? So he actually thinks that too now. I think that he thinks that there was never a killer after looking at all the evidence and stuff like that. He just thinks the cops had racial bias. They had like, they wanted it to be that because it was so sensational. There's all sorts of stuff that made it go that way.
Too bad he didn't think that in 2007.
Yeah, I know. I think he just, because the movie's an adaptation of a book, right?
Jake Gyllenhaal's character, yeah.
Yeah. So him, what the fuck's his name? But I had it written down. But anyway, so yeah, the book, I think he probably still thought it during the filming, but it was still the book. He had a script, right? Like,
yeah, no, and I love that movie, and I still think that dude might have had like, I mean, if he didn't do all of it, he did some of it. You know what I mean?
I think he did the one where the guy recognized him.
Yeah, 100%. That dude is.
And the stabbing to me was a copycat. There's no way it wasn't. It was, why would you have the monocred fucking hood? You know, it's so, it's not real. It's so over the top. He never had that before. So it's clearly just a copycat. And then it's my opinion. What do you think, Getsy boy? He's into the map code.
I love you, dude. He just always gets caught up on like these really obscure details that are ultimately inconsequential.
I think I agree. There's a lot of copycats that were probably in there, but I think the real Zodiac Killer is definitely the Gary Stewart search for his father type of thing. I definitely agree with that one. I think it was Earl Van Best Jr. With a name like that, you just want to fucking kill people. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Van Best, honestly, Van Best might have been done one of these. Like they're still there. They still exist. These kills, right? And for him to look like the guy that walked away from Stein getting shot in the head, because that's the thing he's saying he looks like. Why wouldn't that guy shoot like he already sounds like a piece of shit? Maybe he shot that guy in the head and just robbed him. For sure. The piece of shirt showing up at the news media place is kind of scary, right? Like that.
No, I mean, well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, without like, who knows how many of these guys like just like got a kick out of just seeing the media and the police spin this narrative for them based on things that they had done that were just isolated incidents.
Yeah, maybe it was spun that way because they knew how fucked up they were. Like they let it get spun that way more to like help their agenda too, right? Like I said, you're winning a Pulitzer. I don't know if anybody won a Pulitzer for this Zodiac coverage. I don't know. I'm just saying that out of my ass. I'm pulling that out of my ass. But when you get a letter from a serial killer, of course you're going to put that, even if it's true or not, right? They debated it for sure, the ethics of it, but they were going to do it. They were going to do it the whole time.
Yep.
So I feel like this whole Zodiac thing was a money-making machine and a smoke screen. A smoke screen and a money maker.
I will also say Earl Van Best owned an antique bookstore. That's a little fucky. Something's not right there, you know? That guy sounds like he's gonna kill somebody.
Yeah, usually it's old crypt keepers that have shit like that. Like enter my antique shop.
They're all cursed.
He probably sold a bunch of Catholic books with the fucking Celtic cross on it. Yeah.
He sold Gremlins.
Yeah.
There was a show in the 90s called Friday the 13th, but it wasn't about like the murder. It was like this antique shop that every item in the antique shop was haunted and they had to like figure out whatever to do with it. It was a great show. It made me think of Friday the 13th. Yeah. The 90s must have pissed off that franchise when they took that, like that show must have pissed off the franchise.
Oh, look at that. I just got a text back from my good friend Jake. And he says, it was actually Arthur Lee Allen, who is a pseudonym for John Carroll Lynch. So we solved it, guys. The movie was too accurate. All right. He really did it.
Is this a real text that you got?
Yeah, from my good friend Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, okay, good. Jake was like, he's still in character right now. He's like, it was me, motherfucker.
Oh. It's been a hard year for him. He goes in and out.
Whatever happened to Jake?
I love it.
Works for
Unless
me.
Getz has a different theory. Do you have a different theory, Getz?
I think enough of them were probably copycats that I'm fine with the random theory.
I don't even think it was malicious, too. I think it was just, they probably all got swept up in it.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
know?
think. I think it's
Yeah.
just this weird thing that took a part of everyone and it became real. And lots of people I'm sure were totally on board and thinking it was real. But I think a lot of people, when I was reading this too, a lot of this is just speculation, so I didn't really put it in, but I'll say it anyway now. A lot of the police officers didn't really buy the whole Zodiac thing, like the detectives that were actually involved in the case didn't really buy the Zodiac until the like third or fourth, like the last the kid getting murdered and stuff like that. Before that, that's another reason it didn't really make it to national news, is because the police weren't glorifying it the way they wanted them to, right? They weren't apparently the cops, the general public were the ones that believed that more than the police did until much later on.
Right.
It has credence. Man, where's this guy? We figured this out like 45 minutes ago. Come on, I got to do this afternoon. Oh,
Richard,
there he is. Hey, how's it going?
it's going, I guess. Friggin', I get a coffee across the road. They have free Wi-Fi. I go on Google. I look up the Zodiac Killer. You know what I find out?
Exactly, we solved it. You figured it out.
Someone else already solved it, dumbass. Way to try to take credit for it, though.
What do you mean?
There's a bunch of retired FBI agents and case breakers or something. Some guy cracked the ciphers. Gary Post or something like that. He solved it.
Gary Post. I didn't even look into Gary Post. God, you know damn it,
man. I'm not paying you guys at all. I expect my deposit back.
Money's gone. Okay, let's just say it's gone. But I do have this business card. You take that, and if you need any other crime solved, you come back to us, and I will do it half price.
You know what? Keep your card, roll it up tight, shove it up. You guys are useless.
I just watched Private Dicks, and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.
Hey there, all you private dickheads. That's probably not the name we're going to stick with. Anyways, RJ here. I am here to tell you thank you for listening to another episode of Private Dicks. If you liked what you heard, go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere they take your reviews, drop us 5 stars, say something nice. Also, what you just heard was from last season. If you want current episodes as they're dropped, head on over to patreon.com and search up Unethical Podcast. That's our mother podcast. I was not aware Private Dicks was a spinoff. I'm going to renegotiate my contract. On Patreon is a full 16-episode season, more of Private Dicks, uncut videos of each episode, and many more things are getting added all the time. You can also find all of Unethical's content on there, so go listen to that. And if you're already a patron, fuck yeah, dude. You're the best.
Hi, I'm Celeste.
Hi, I'm Richard.
Hey, I'm Christy.
And I'm Tally.
We're the hosts of Unethical Podcast. Every episode, we take a humorous dive into a case study that poses an ethical question, like, should mentally ill murderers ever be released?
No.
We discuss what the outcomes of these cases are and what they should be, with a unique guest host every episode.
Richard needs some more testosterone around here.
Nah, I think it's mostly coming from Celeste.
Girls are mean.
Our podcast is no holds barred, true crime, comedy, adult content, and definitely not for everybody.
But like most people aren't like can handle swear words and stuff, right? Am I right about that?
No.
No.
You can subscribe wherever you eat your podcasts to listen. Follow us on Instagram, where we post our teasers to guess what's coming next. And join us on Facebook to get involved in the conversation. Welcome to Unethical Podcast.